Well, your Colorado Buffaloes now 7-2 in the season, 5-1 in Big 12 conference play, coming off a nice victory last weekend down in Lubbock, Texas, dodging tortillas, 41-27. Buffaloes now number 17 in the college football playoff. Hi, everybody. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, head coach, Dion Coach Prime Sanders is here. It's Buffs Prime Time presented by Aflac. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit aflac.com to learn more. Coming up on the show, we got Alejandro, the great kicker for the Buffaloes. And what a show here. We're going to bookend the show with Hall of Famers. We got Coach here, and then Warren Sapp's going to join us on the other side.
It's going to be hilarious.
Am I prepared for that? What do I need to know
Coach
about?
Sapp, I'm so darn proud of him. I don't know what to do because, subtle things that I see him do that people don't know about. I think they hit Shiloh with a couple objects last week, and Shiloh was looking up in the crowd, and I saw Sapp come and bring him back over, and he is always getting the guys together and calming them down in certain situations, and he's speaking life into others. He has been a blessing, a tremendous blessing this season.
He is, I didn't know him before you brought him aboard. And, personality number one. Holy cow, is that guy full of energy.
That's right.
Man, oh, man. We step in the elevator, right? I'm in the elevator, and he comes walking around the corner. Before we hit the bottom.
Oh, you hear him.
He's got the phone out, and he's showing me he went duck hunting. So
He hunts everything.
Yeah.
He's an adventurous person.
He really is. Yeah. How long have you known him?
I've known him, I think, since 94.
Okay.
Yeah. Since 94.
When you've got a guy played the same side of the ball that you did, and so a lot of times maybe you're not paying attention there, but how did you kind of gain an appreciation for who he was?
First of all, a dog knows a dog. We know each other.
Sure.
You can tell the scent from a mile away.
Okay.
And the way he played the game, the way he commanded the defense, the way he garnished two blockers to even deal with him. And the thing that people don't really say about him is how intelligent he was. How smart he was, knowing what the offense would try to do to him to curtail him from being who he was. Warren Sapp was the backbone of that defense of the Bucks that was so dominant for so many years.
Oh, they were good. Yeah. My goodness. So we got Warren's coming up here. All right, ball game down in Texas Tech in Lubbock last weekend. Didn't start out maybe the way we wanted.
True.
Right? Get yourself in a little bit of a hole.
Right.
But the one thing that impresses me about your team, Coach, there's a resolve. There's a tendency not to blink with this team, isn't there?
Right. Because almost every situation that we encounter, we've been in before. And we know not to panic, not to blink, not to even be hasty to do this or to do that. And we got a quarterback that we know it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before Pat figures you out, before Rob figures you out and get us in the situations that we need to get into. And they make tremendous adjustments. It seems as though we're a second-half team because of the adjustments that are being made. But I think a lot of teams, they come out hyped and they're ready to play, and they may be a little more ready than we are at the onset of the game. But then slowly but surely we come back and play to our expectations.
Where does that quality come from? That ability not to blink.
Practice.
Is that just a practice?
It comes from practice.
Yeah.
Us understanding that we know what we have and we're not going to panic because we know the type of players that we have, and we know the type of coaches that we have are going to put us in the right situations, and we don't blink.
Because a lot of times, I think for the average person, there's a tendency to speed up and get anxious about things.
Well, the Bible says be anxious for nothing.
There you go. Amen to that.
So we love what we have on the roster, and we have a lot of it, and people don't give us the credit, not that we're looking for it, but we have depth at the plethora of positions that you see it. You see it happening. I don't know how many teams are rotating 8 to 9 players offensively on the line,
right?
And several players at receiver, the running back position, as well as the tight end position. So we a lot of people are getting some experience this season.
Yeah. It worked out very nice the way that your defense is playing right now. So, Tech comes out, they've got some traction, they score a touchdown, and then they've got opportunity. But you guys tighten up and hold them to field goals.
We tighten up. First and foremost, there was some questionable calls in that game that I don't ever question the officials. Shiloh made a tremendous hit, and there was a fumble.
Yeah.
And I asked them to replay that.
Right at the goal line, yeah.
Yeah. And it was clearly a fumble.
Right.
If you look at that play, it was clear, and we recovered.
Yeah.
And, little things like that, we got to have that, man.
Yeah.
They got to do a better job. Not that they aren't, but they got to see that. I'm pretty sure if it was on the other foot, they would have saw it.
The whole a crowd tortilla water bottle mess. What do you have to say about that?
I don't care about the tortillas or however you enunciate it.
Yeah.
But when they start throwing water bottles and small alcoholic bottles,
Right.
and now I'm thinking about the safety of our team.
Sure.
So I'm thinking about that. So we question that as well. The other things, they're soft. They're not gonna hurt.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Tradition there. Okay, just go through it. Let's deal with it. But I got a lot of respect for Joy, for Coach McGuire, for going out there and saying something to his fans. And I said, you know what? I had to do the same thing the week before because we were idiotic, throwing stupid stuff out there on the field, which I don't know why. That's not our tradition. I don't know where you get that from. I think everybody was just up there high. That's really what it was. That's really what it was.
I think you might be onto something
Right.
there. Yeah. But, it's something that we're seeing around college football here recently. It started a few weeks ago down in Texas.
It's stupid.
And it's kind of been expanded.
Yeah, but you're going to get they should penalize the home team.
I agree.
If you penalize them, they'll stop.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that'll cease.
Yeah, you throw a couple of unsportsmanlike out there, and all of a sudden everyone gets turned around.
That's right.
A little bit. But what were the officials saying to you about that? Yeah, because you were kind of barking about that, like, hey, we got to stop this.
It was a little more to it. That wasn't it.
Right?
Now, I said my piece, and they said some things that I don't want to say. You'll see it.
Okay.
I think the officials forgot that I wear a mic.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably do.
So you'll probably see it on the documentary.
Right. I think we probably will. Just
they don't understand. I'm wired.
At all times.
Yeah.
Never question
At
it.
all times.
There's always a microphone there. The way that this offense kind of found some traction, though, on Saturday, kind of speaks to, and you spoke glowingly about what Pat Shurmur's doing this season.
Pat has done a phenomenal job. They don't want to give him the credit, or they don't look at him as the guy, but he is the guy, and then something. First of all, stepping in last season, running someone else's offense, and still doing a good job, towards the end. And he was working with Staub as well, who was a young quarterback coming in there to supplant Shador because he was injured. But Pat is doing a phenomenal job offensively. They're moving the ball in a multitude of ways. Yeah, will we like a more physical, tougher running game? Yeah. And I think you're going to see a little bit of that this week. But when they get that together, the sky's the limit.
Shador was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week. 30 of 43, 293 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times.
Right.
What was your assessment of your quarterback?
Well, the week before, he was 25 for 30, wasn't
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was outstanding, yes.
So what's the difference?
Well, he could have won this multiple times.
I'm just saying,
this year,
what's the difference week to week?
Well, you know what's happening there,
What's
right?
that?
Because between he and Travis and other guys in your team, every week a Buff's going to be in the running
Well,
for that
do
thing.
it.
They could give it to you guys every week.
Why not?
Well, because you know what that's going to do around the league.
And
Well,
what is it going to do?
because, Coach, you don't understand what's going to happen.
What?
The whole jealousy thing, and the
They've
conversations.
been that since we got here, right? It's been that way since we got here. You can't. They gotta disallow their disdain for me, and do not punish the kids for that.
Right.
Allow them to receive their fruits of their labor. I mean, it's just only right. It's not right for what they do because that's why I wanted to make a point at last week. It's 25 for 30, right? 31,
He
something
was
like that.
outstanding, yeah.
So what? I think that was sharper than last week, right?
It probably was.
Right.
It probably was.
Yeah.
Made some big throws though last week.
Right.
Hey, and Shallow comes up with a touchdown late in the ballgame last week.
Yep, and I'm telling you, if he'd have got that big hit and that fumble,
If he would have been the defensive player of the week.
really would have been something. But I'm proud of him, because he's coming back to his old self and getting to the ball and making things happen. Made some tremendous tackles last week as well.
Yeah, had a huge play there late in the ballgame. That was an interesting play because it came loose, and I think most people thought it was just an incomplete pass.
No, we get to the ball. We get to the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, we practice that kind of stuff, so that's not far from what you see at practice.
Speaking of accolades, when you look at the Heisman race right now, many people are talking about Travis being the number 1 guy.
He should be.
Shador's right in there in the top handful.
Well, I don't know why now that's ridiculous.
Right.
Like, I mean, how they treat him. What I really want is 2 Buffs there.
Yeah. Oh, yes, and it should be.
I think they're trying everything in their power not to have 2 Buffs there, because if they have 2 Buffs there, guess what? They're going to have 3 Buffs there.
Because
then I'm going.
Oh, yeah, no doubt
So,
about that.
I think they're trying to keep me.
The interesting thing about it is, and I'll tell you what, this speaks to Shador a little bit. Was it last week or maybe the week before? Somebody asked Shador about that, and his first words were, "I want Travis to win that."
That's who he is.
Yeah.
Shador don't really care about that kind of stuff.
Is that right?
You know, he wants to win. Travis wants to win too, but Travis wants to win that Heisman a lot more than Shador does because Travis is more deserving, and Shador feels that way as well as I, because he's the best player in the nation. Um, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and keep just showing up like we're showing up every week, and I think it's going to speak volumes for itself.
I know I've looked this up, but where did you end up on the Heisman?
I have no idea.
No idea?
I didn't care either.
I
wanted the Thorpe. I just wanted to be the baddest DB in the country.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all I wanted.
And you know the way it works out. A lot of times defensive guys get overlooked a little bit because it's quarterback award, that kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I finished somewhere, but I don't even recall where.
Travis, do you ever step back when Travis does one of the things that he does on occasion? Do you even ever step back and go, "Wow, that was something," or are you just so accustomed to it?
I'm just pushing him to go farther. Yeah, pushing him to. I was on his butt by drop balls last week.
Okay.
Yeah, tremendously.
We don't see that from him very often.
That's not who he is.
Right.
Not only that, because then I remind him afterwards, you'd have had us your 100 yards. You catch the darn ball.
Yes, he would have.
Shador would have had us 300 if you catch the darn ball. You'd have had another touchdown if you'd have caught the darn ball. So that's the thing. I remind him of just staying focused all throughout the game.
How is he from a correction standpoint? When you talked about
Great.
something, does he?
Matter of fact, he seeks it.
Does he?
Yeah. Like, Coach, get on me. I said, you don't have to tell me twice. Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do that anyway. But
right.
he seeks correction.
Okay.
And information.
All right.
He does.
He has been obviously phenomenal this season. And if he doesn't win this award, it's going to be a travesty. Special. We got Alejandro coming up here in a little while.
Mata.
Yeah.
That's my guy, man.
Motomatic.
I love him, automatic. I love him to life. He's a delight. Great young man, leader of men, and he's Mr. Consistent.
He has been so good. You know about the hair thing he told me about? About he's not cutting his hair. He's got kind of a
I didn't know that.
He's got kind of a Samson thing going on where he wants no one to touch his hair.
Well, if you got a Samson thing, you got a Delilah thing as well. Make sure.
Well, that's exactly what I told him. I said, do not start dating somebody named Delilah.
You can't have a Samson thing without having a Delilah thing. Yeah.
Very rarely do kickers get attention. He's gotten attention over
He
the course of his career.
because he's solid. And coming over from Jackson, you got to understand all our guys were doubted because of where we originated, where we came from. Right? So you doubt me as well as the young men that I brought. And they were talking about his leg strength and everything, but he is accurate. Forget how high it goes through the uprights, as long as it gets through the uprights. And he is Mr. Accurate.
You've got to be an athlete at a high level, you've got to be strong mentally. But I would think in particular for that position, right?
But that's who he is. That's who he's always been. You got to understand now. You got a kid coming to an all African American situation.
Sure.
It's 99.99% of the audience, and it's a sold-out crowd, 60-some thousand people at a home game in Jackson. Everywhere we go on the road, it's sold out, and it's African Americans. They're screaming and yelling and doing everything that they do, others do in these major stadiums that we're playing in now. And he didn't flinch.
Did you talk to him about that aspect of the recruitment and say, hey, you're coming to an HBCU here?
Most definitely. Yeah. But you can't explain it until you get there.
Sure.
The atmosphere and the camaraderie, and I mean, it's live. It's all the way live. Yeah.
He has been outstanding. He'll be joining the show here in a few minutes. Also, Warren Sapp is going to join us. One more segment with Coach Prime. Let's go and take a break here on Buffs Primetime. Back in a moment. This is Colorado football from Learfield. Back on Buffs Prime Time, Colorado football brought to us by Aflac. Also, the Hilton's on Canyon. Hey, you coming to Boulder for game day? Stay at the Hilton's on Canyon, a proud supporter of the Buffaloes. Buffs and Utah, early one on Saturday, 10 a.m. ball game. We'll hit the air here at the network at 8 a.m. with the Buffalo Stampede pregame show. This week also, by the way, we're saluting those who serve and sacrifice for Colorado and our country. Their love runs deep, and so does ours. If there's something you love about our state, let us know at lovecolorado.com. You kind of got you got the camo on today, man.
Yeah, because it's so funny because I get everything late because I'm so locked into football right
Sure.
now. But I did hear Shador's statements after the games and his pressure about the stupidity that went on last week. I'm
about the flag stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even privy to that.
Coach,
so
it was just ridiculous. I mean,
I don't even know
some Yahoo down there in Lubbock made some comment that we, and I say we as the University of Colorado, didn't want to get involved in some T-shirt deal because being anti-American, it was total garbage.
So somebody, basically, what you're saying is somebody's trying to make money off of selling T-shirts.
There you go, exactly right.
And school probably denied it.
Yeah.
And they then made it out of a bigger thing.
And Rick George jumped out and said this is total nonsense. There's no truth to any of that, and so that's what's going on.
Why do you even have to answer that stupidity?
I know. Yeah, but it ain't the way things go on social media.
Right.
And so anyway,
did we have the armed forces in the spring?
The irony, by the way, is that it's Military Appreciation Weekend this weekend.
But didn't we bring over?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
We did the whole swimming thing.
Did the swimming thing.
Yeah, but they came over several times.
Yeah.
They did a phenomenal job with our team.
A couple of different groups came over, and in fact, Alejandro and I talked about that, about how it was kind of a trust building exercise.
Oh no, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, especially when they went to the pool.
Yeah.
When the whole team went to the pool, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
As well as my uncle, I think it was Sergeant Marvin Mims. He passed away several years back, but that was my connectivity to the armed forces. He was so strategic and so structured.
Yeah.
And I've always admired him for that.
Yeah. Well, I know you've got a great appreciation for the men and women of the military.
I'm militaristic in my teachings and the way we go about things and how on point we are about certain things. And I derived that from the military.
Yeah. So that's coming up this weekend, and so we salute all the men and women who are going to be at the ball game who have been in the service. Our producer, Reed, looked it up. In 1988, well, this can't be right. You finished 8th in the Heisman voting. Barry Sanders won it. Okay, you can give him
he
right?
should have. Yeah, Barry was nice.
Rodney Peete, Troy Aikman, Steve Walsh, Major Harris, Tony Mandarich. Yeah. Didn't work out very well. Tim Rosenbach, and then you.
Yeah, there's several guys you had never heard of before, but I understand.
Anthony Thompson right behind you, and then Derek Thomas. So there's some good ones on there now.
Yeah, there's some, I think it was, 4 Hall of Famers on there?
Yeah, I think so. That's right. Yeah. Hey, I want to pull this up. This was 35. Can we zoom in on this? For those of you on radio, you can't see this. On the stream, you can. Look at this guy right here. 35 years ago, the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Mm-hmm. I think that was my first.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How many times have you been on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea, but I was proud. So that was my first. I was proud.
Help me do the math real quick. Now you're 22,
I was 21.
21? Okay, 21 years old in that shot right there.
Yeah.
What would if 57-year-old Dion met 21-year-old Dion, what would you say to him?
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Keep God first. Do your thing, and do it unapologetically, because no one would ever understand or comprehend your thought process at this age and stage in your life. But do your thing.
That young man standing right there.
Yeah.
And that would have been, was that before your Saturday Night Live appearance?
Way
before?
Yeah.
Was that a few years later?
Saturday Night was 94. That was 89.
Okay, so it was a number of years later. Mm-hmm. But would that guy there have understood where you are right now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Most definitely. That guy there kind of dreamt of where everything is right now, just not as a coach, but as a man.
Yeah. He was, that was about that time, because you and I are the same age. I'm watching you at Florida State. I'm thinking, who is this guy, man?
Right.
You explode on the scene, and you've got great personality. You've got a presence about you, but you did things different. How long were you thinking about becoming that guy?
It wasn't necessarily different. It was just authentic.
Okay.
I don't think it was different. I said what I said, and I believe what I said.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't apologetic about what I said, and I stood for what I believed. So that was the difference. I don't think they ever seen an African-American man stand up for himself at that time besides Muhammad Ali.
Well, I was going to say, it was very Ali. At the time, I'm thinking, this guy's got some Muhammad Ali in it. Yeah.
But I never said what I was going to do. I just did it. I never said, oh, I'm going to take one back. I'm going to do I never said that stuff. I just was very entertaining thereafter. in the post game interviews and the pressers, but I was very confident because of my work ethic and my ability. I was very confident. I know I was blessed, but I perfected my gifts. So I was starting since a freshman. So what? How would I not think as a senior?
Right.
I'm the guy after playing baseball for the Yankees at the conclusion of my junior year.
Yeah.
Then coming back playing football my senior year and going back to spring training after my senior. What do you think I'm supposed to be?
Did you ever have an opportunity to cross paths with Muhammad Ali?
Yes.
Did you really?
One of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he say anything of note?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was one of the greatest moments of my life because by that time I had given my life to the Lord, and of course he was a Muslim. And I remember I walked by his room. We was at a function in Arizona, I believe, and he said, "You supposed to be Christian, right? Yeah, come in here." And I walked in his room, and I was so like, "This is my guy. Like this is him."
You're talking
I'm
about Muhammad Ali, man.
Cassius, man. Like this is the dude. This is what I looked up to. I looked out for. Like you couldn't even talk about Ali in my crib. And he said, "Okay, right here." And he pointed, and I read it. It says that God was the truth, the life, the such and such, right? He said, "Explain that. How can he be all three?"
Okay. Wow.
And I was like, ice.
Yeah.
If I get a cup of ice out of the refrigerator, it's ice. If I apply heat to it, what is it? It's water.
Yeah.
But if I put another source of heat to it, it's steam.
Steam, yeah.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
So you guys had that kind of
We
conversation.
had that kind of
He was
conversation.
interested in that aspect.
Yeah, he said, okay. It said Jesus did this, and he came and this is what he did, and this. I said, well, it's how you see it.
Sure.
Because right now I'm saying you have on brown boots. He's saying you have on a dark colored boot. He's saying you may have on tan boots. It's how we see it, and that's derived on where we're from. So they're not talking about three different things. They talk about the same thing, but we saw it three different ways. So this went on for an hour.
Really?
Yeah. And then he said, you know, his guy that was with him was take a look out for him. And his wife, he said, "You got him. You got him." And then when I went to the dinner later on, I sat right across from him, and he was like, and his wife said, "I heard you kicked his butt today," with all the beliefs that he had, that he was questioning you about. I said, "We had an interesting time."
With what he represented, what he did, the impact he had upon culture, what was the thing that impressed you or you appreciated the most about him?
He stood for what he believed.
Yeah.
And he didn't flinch.
Under enormous pressure back then.
He didn't flinch.
Yeah.
He stood for what he believed, and he didn't flinch. And he had a nation on his back.
Yeah.
And he still carried the pressure of it all. And the other thing that saddened me, even to this day, is that as a country, we didn't love or respect him until he couldn't talk.
Yeah, that's right. You think about that Olympic
until
appearance.
he couldn't communicate.
Yes.
And I'm still upset about that.
Yeah.
Why would someone have to be at that state until we respect him and give him his flowers?
Because those who become, upset the apple cart offend many, right? And it takes a time for people to appreciate who they are. Yeah. That is awesome. Fly like a butterfly and sting like a bee, man.
Yeah. I mean,
the greatest of all time.
He was my guy, and he will always
That's really
be
cool.
the greatest of all time.
That
he
is
will
really cool.
always be.
Awesome. That's I can see why you say one of your great moments of your life. That's great stuff. Hey, real quick, we got to talk about Utah here. I know you've got phenomenal respect for Kyle Whittingham.
Oh yeah, definitely. And shoot, that's one of the greatest. And he's been a pillar of consistency, tremendous consistency, and his teams has always been tough and physical and hard-nosed like him. I mean, they've always resembled who he is. And I can't wait to see him, because he's always been polite. He's always been delightful. I remember in the Pac-12 meetings, I sat right beside him when they were going over all the early things about the organization and all. That was my first time being in one of those meetings, and I was placed right beside him, which was an honor.
What strikes you about his team as you'll take a look at him this week?
They tough. They don't give up.
Yeah.
They're going to try to run the ball. The defense is physical. They don't surrender huge plays. You got to methodically drive down and beat them. And I'm hoping we could do some things to get them off of who they are.
Yeah.
But they're consistent, man, and they're tough. They're who he is. They really are.
Yeah, that's one of those teams I've always said, all those years in the Pac-12 with them, you've been in a war when you play them.
Yeah,
right?
you got to play.
Yeah.
They're not giving you nothing. You
Right.
got to take it, and you got to play.
Thank goodness. 10 a.m. game, man. We like those early games, don't we?
Well, it's going to be like practice for us.
That's
and
right.
I don't think we should come out swinging because that's our normal time
Sure.
of work.
Early ball game, 10 o'clock on Saturday. We'll hit the air at 8. Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
There he is, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. He and the Buffaloes have got the Utes. Coming up next, our players segment, we're going to talk with the aforementioned Alejandro Mata. What a year he's had. One of the great personalities on the team as well. As we continue here on Buffs Prime Time. This is Colorado Football from Learfield. Back on Buffs Prime Time as we continue ahead of the Buffaloes game with. Back on Buffs Prime Time as we continue ahead of the. Back on Buffs Prime Time as we. Back on Buffs Prime Time as we continue ahead of the Buffaloes game with the Utes of Utah coming up on Saturday. Again, that's an early one, 10 o'clock a.m. kickoff. We're going to hit the air at 8 a.m. on the Buffalo Stampede on the Colorado Football Network on the radio side. And joining us now, we love watching this guy kick, Alejandro Mata. Mata-matic, as we call him when
What's
he's
up,
up
Mark?
there. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
You having fun this season?
Having a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yes,
You
sir.
certainly look like you are.
Yeah.
This team right now is a fun team, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
here you guys sit at 7-2. You're in the top 20 in the college football playoff rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of take us inside the locker room about kind of what the atmosphere is like this year compared to last year.
Oh, it's just the family in there, you know.
Yeah.
Last year was more of a team. This is a family. You know,
Okay.
it's a brotherhood all around, and it's honestly the reason why we've been able to win so many games.
Sure. You know, what Coach Prime is creating here And you've been on this thing from the ground floor, obviously. Come with him from Jackson. You saw what he did down there. Is this, as much as they won down at Jackson, is it getting that similar feel kind of here in Boulder?
Oh, yeah. So I got there in like his second or third full year at Jackson. And by then, he already built like a
Sure.
a super team. And all I noticed in that locker room was, the brotherhood that I was talking about, the family. Everybody was just cool with each other.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see that last year, but I'm starting to see it again this season, and it just feels great.
Could you feel during summer workouts and in fall camp that there was something different about this team?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the way, like, some of the guys attack the workouts and, like, for example, working out with the Marines and the Army really helped us build that bond just because we had to go through stuff together. It wasn't just one person against the other. It was going through it together.
You mentioned that military training that you guys went through. Kind of take us back and explain what that was all about and what you think you got from it.
As a kicker, it was rough. I didn't want to run. I didn't want to swim. I didn't want to do any of that.
You're kind of telling yourself as a kicker right now. You know that, right?
And that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine. I just, it's just great being able to have that opportunity with the team just because I know that it's going to help us in the long in the long distance of the run.
Yeah.
Again, being able to build that bond and going through something like that together, something that hard together was.
Is that a trust-building exercise they put you through?
It was definitely more.
Yeah.
They focus. So the whole workout, everybody was like, "Why'd y'all bring him? Why'd y'all bring him?" And the strength and conditioning coaches, they said that that's probably the best team when it comes to life or death. And they told us to have that same mentality that if you don't do your job, somebody else might fall.
Yeah.
And we just took that mentality throughout the whole summer and fall camp and into the season.
So when those guys are talking about that, the concept for them literally is life and death when they're out there, right? That you've got to be able to count on the guy next to you. You do your job, you save his life, those kind of things. But you take those same concepts into football, that you're counting on each other.
That's kind of the whole idea of what they wanted to do when they brought him here.
Yeah. Your kicking has been outstanding this season.
Appreciate it.
How would you gauge your performance so far?
Well, the first quarter of the season definitely wasn't my best. I've said it before. I was dealing with some stuff off the field.
Sure.
But I feel more confident again. I'm starting to get my strength back. I'm starting to get my confidence full 100%. And definitely knowing that I haven't missed since Colorado State, it's honestly a big boost when it comes to confidence.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that. Like when someone's got a no-hitter going, they don't even talk about it. You're okay talking about it?
Yeah.
You're not superstitious in that regard?
The only superstition I have this season is my hair. As long as nobody touches my hair, I'm making it.
Okay, now you got to explain that. Now, what's going on with the hair thing?
This goes all the way back to junior season of high school.
Okay.
It was post-COVID, and I didn't have a barber or anything, so my hair just kept growing and growing.
Okay.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it.
All right.
So I kept it for that junior season. It was my first year starting, and that season I got the game winner in the state championship. I got a state championship against my old high school, all state, all conference, all region, all finals. I got all the awards.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Why not go back to it? So I went back to it, and this is the season I'm having right now.
So you're just allowing it to grow.
Yep.
So this is kind of a Samson kind of thing going on.
That's exactly the story that I'm replicating here.
Whatever you do not start dating somebody named Delilah. Okay?
Don't worry. I am not.
Take it. You've had some big kicks this season. Take us out in the field. Key moments. You know that we need 3 points. You're lining up. Mark Vassett's ready to hold. Kind of take us out there in terms of the process you go through.
So I get enough reps throughout the week with Mark and Cam, knowing that I know they're going to do their job. And I just got to do my things. And every time I step into the field, I just know, everything just goes blank.
Okay.
I stop hearing the crowd, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm back at practice.
Yeah.
It's just me, Cam, Mark, the ball, and the uprights.
And what are you thinking? It's been said as a kicker, by the way, there's nothing more than plant the left, swing the right, but there's more to it than that. So tell me, as you count your steps off, what are you thinking about? What are you focused on? What's the important aspect of what you're about ready to do?
So the main thing I focus on is definitely just keeping my head down. Most of my misses come whenever I either pick up my head too early and I'm not looking at the ball come off my foot.
That's like a golfer, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you pick your head up and you pull things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you got to keep your eyes on the ball the whole time, kind of like a baseball player.
All right.
And that's the only thing I focus on. I'm just keep your head down, keep your head down, keep your head down, and If I keep my head down, I know it's going to make it.
Keep your head down, then to follow through. And when you get something longer, are you putting more effort into it? Is it all about technique and make sure you just got a good swing?
So I try to make every kick look the same.
Okay.
So talking about consistency, I feel like every kick should look the same, whether it's a PAT or a 60-yard field goal.
All right. What role does Mark Vassar play in this whole thing then?
Nothing. He's just there to
Just
put the ball down.
Make sure the ball's in the right position.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And
I honestly believe he's the best in the country at doing it.
he's been really good. You guys, do not touch that hair, whatever you do.
I don't plan on it until after the season.
Monomatic.
Yes, sir.
In my 21 years I've been here, we've had probably two kickers that have gotten a lot of attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
One was Mason Crosby,
Right.
obviously, right?
Obviously.
And now we got Monomatic going on here. Hey, let's go out and get a win against Utah on Saturday.
Obviously.
All right.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
hear it for Alejandro Monomatic, kicker for the Colorado Buffaloes. They've got the Utes coming up on Saturday at 10 a.m. Coming up next, our assistant coach segment. Warren Sapp is going to join us, the Football Hall of Famer. That's after a break. This is Colorado football from their field. University of Colorado football is brought to us by Eco Products. Every stadium generates some food waste on game days, but thanks in part to certified compostable packaging from Boulder-based Eco Products, the dedicated team at Folsom Field, able to turn a lot of that food and packaging, it comes into compost instead. Eco Products, proud once again to be the official zero-waste partner of the Buffaloes. Buffs Primetime also brought to us by Aflac. Now, here's the way it works around the University of Colorado right now. So Warren Sapp was going to join us. So we got one of the great football players of all time. He got called into a meeting or something, and all you have to do is open the doors, and down the hallway walks all pros, Hall of Famers. They're everywhere. And look who we found walking down the hallway is Cordell Stewart.
All
right, man.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you. You just get here.
Yeah.
Curtis runs out and grabs you, runs in there and jump on TV and
literally just got here. I mean, when I got comfortable sitting down to the people I was speaking to, all of a sudden I see a body just kind of slow down just a little bit. I'm like, oh, what do they want? Right? And so all of a sudden, a master coming. I was like, come on, let's do it.
Mr. Johnson sitting upstairs. Come and chat for a little
Let's make it work.
How you been?
Been good. Been good. Playing a lot of golf.
Okay.
Traveling, playing golf.
How's the game?
Game is pretty good. I'm a 6 handicap.
Oh, good. Nice.
I'm a 6.
All right.
Yeah, still kind of refining some things. You know, it gets to the point where in golf, it's a little complex, but real quick, the golf ball. Yeah. It matters.
It does matter. You're right. Yeah.
And it starts with the golf ball and you work your way back. You don't play with the clubs and then go to the golf ball.
This is kind of a Zen thing you're giving us right now.
Yeah. You know, just take it. Same thing with football, right? It's like it matters. You know, it's got to be right for the QB so he can throw it well. You know, guys, all that good stuff. So it kind of goes.
That's an interesting concept. I've never thought of it that way. That everything then comes from the ball back.
It does.
Then too, and that would be true in any sport, really.
Well, it does because see, what happens is in golf in particular, there's a thing that's called compression. Mm-hmm. You know, from the golf club, the face of the club, to the golf ball. Yeah. If your swing speed is not fast enough, the ball won't go as far.
Okay.
If your swing speed is compatible to the compression of the ball, meaning your swing speed is slower, then you need a softer ball so it can actually have the same outcome as someone would have a high rate of swing speed, with a harder ball. So if you take a baseball, a regular baseball, you throw it against the wall, what happens?
Bounces off.
Bounces off, but it doesn't come off as much as if you had it depends on how hard you throw it on the wall.
True, yep.
The softer you throw it, the less it travels. Yeah. Now, you take a softball, you do the same thing, right? The compression is a little bit more, so it bounces off. You take a balloon with water inside of it, all that good stuff. So that's, see, you're taking me so far down. This is supposed to be about football.
See, now look at this. You know what? This is a quarterback. That's what we're talking, right? These guys are always smart, right? They're always thinking this kind of thing.
All the time.
Yeah. This is just the second game you said you've been at this season. I thought
this is the second. Yeah. I came to the Cincinnati game, which was a very, very good game. Yeah. Had the chance to really get immersed on the sidelines. Coach Prime allowed me to get down there and to be able to see it. If the team was coming towards the Dale Ward Center, I would be on that end zone just to see everything coming in our direction and vice versa. So to have an opportunity to be amongst the players and feeling the energy, that was a tremendous amount of fun. Did last year. But I really wanted to be down there this time, whether it's on the outside of 20.
You were just saying right before we went on, we were chatting a little bit about it, and I said something about the football world is stunned by what Prime is doing. You're not surprised by what you're seeing, are you?
Not at all. I just remember when he first reached out and, asked me a couple questions. I won't reveal what we were talking about, but all I can remember saying mostly was, it is the most beautiful campus in all of college.
Amen.
I know there's a Utah. I know there's Wyoming in the Midwest because the mountains matter, right?
Oh,
and the funny thing is they don't move. They stay there.
You can't buy them either.
You can't buy them either. In our campus blends in perfectly into the foothills of these mountains here at the Flatiron. So I'm like, when you get there, it is one of the most remarkable places. And at this time, Coach Prime's, he's at that age where he's seen a lot of stuff.
Sure he is.
I'm sure he came to Denver to play against the Broncos, but to never get immersed a little bit west of Denver, which is called Boulder, Colorado. And I just remember seeing when he was coming in and all the stuff they were showing about the excitement, how he was looking at it and embracing it and inhaling all the pine and stuff in the air. I'm like, yeah, he's starting to feel it. He's starting to feel it because it's magical.
Right.
You cannot put – for those who actually live here all the time, you will take this for granted because you think this is normal, right? In a sense of how the other part of the world is, considering that's where Coach Prime was. He was in other parts of the country, whether it's Baltimore, whether it's in Dallas, whether it's in 49ers, you know, parts of Texas where he lives now, Florida, wherever he was, born and raised. But to come here, it's different.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful type of a different to where if you can win here,
spectacular.
It's like no other as
magical.
we see right now. It's like no other place. In the country.
And you looked at me during the commercial break and you said, and he's not going anywhere.
No, I mean, when you have this type of influence on the game, not the community. Let's start with the game in general. No one else has ever done it this way before.
Yes.
If you can
Innovative.
tell me one coach that you know of in this era of the transfer portal, we're not talking about getting recruits, the freshmen come in and you know, stuff like that. Because how many guys actually transfer before the actual transfer portal became relevant to the point that the way it is right now? No one's ever done this. In the first year and a half, when there's change, and you compound that with the transfer portal, more times than not, the conversation will be, we maybe shore up the linebacker position, get guys to be a little bit bigger, so on and so forth. But instead, we're talking about we just need to finish. That's remarkable.
See, the 7 minutes flew by. You and I could do an hour talking about the golf swing. So
we could.
Let's bring you back again, all right?
I'll get you.
All right.
Thank
the
you.
great Cordell Stewart joining us here on Buffs Prime Time. It's Colorado and Utah on Saturday, 10 a.m. We'll kick that one off, 8 o'clock with the pregame show. Coach Barnett and yours truly. Great to have Cordell with us, the head coach, Alejandro. Thanks for joining us on Buffs Prime Time. Brought to us by Aflac. This is Colorado football from Learfield.